once the kids get back to school. We'll get into a couple of them bullying and whatever. But this story got my attention, so we thought we'd bring on professional licensed counselor Lee Richardson to talk about Generation Z, that's the 18 to 22-year-olds, 40% of whom, evidently, participate in sexting. What do they find so fun about sexting, Lee?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think that most of them grew up with a phone in their hand, and they think that that is how they connect with people. So we know their brain's not fully developed. We know they don't have the capabilities to think through things, and they're very impulsive. And they take that picture in that impulsive moment, and they think that they're going to send it, and it'll just live for a few seconds, and then it'll go away. And the sad news is that it can never go away.
I have to wonder, though, is that a little bit narcissistic behavior to think, you know what, my naked body is, and we say naked in Texas, my naked body is so good looking, I just need to send this to somebody to look at.
I think you may have a point there because, I can't imagine being 16 or 17 or 21 or 22 and thinking that. And I don't think that their self-confidence is all that high. I think it's that we're learning to express ourselves differently, and it's very accepted to do that using a digital device.
I have to wonder, maybe, I'm probably dating myself with all this, but I think that, clearly today's kids have different definitions of what we did. For example, I know that kids now don't think it's sex if it doesn't involve intercourse. In other words, we can do all these other things, and it's not sex. When I was a kid, if you did anything to pleasure yourself in any way, it was considered sex.
I think things have changed, and that's part of the really big problem with sexting is that kids do this, and they don't realize that it can follow them for the rest of their life. It also can open them up to some bullying. It also can open them up to other sexual predators. It has a lot more consequences than they think it does.
Well, there's been a lot of stories, though, about how this has gone wrong for so many kids. Why isn't that registering with them?
And you're right. Even on Snapshot, they've had people, their lives have been ruined because they thought, that image only lives on for a few seconds. Well, teens today, they're smart. They figured out how to copy those images so those images can live on and on and on. But I don't think that we talk about the ramifications. If I had a teenager with a cell phone, I would sit down and I would have a serious consequence conversation. Because do you know, in some states, sexting can be punished as child pornography.
Yeah, absolutely. They could end up with a felony record. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, you're an adult at 18, and I don't know that people realize that.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be 21 to be prosecuted as an adult.
Right. So clearly parents need to have the talk. And I'm guessing they need to have the talk, around the same time as they give them access to the cell phone?
If not before.
Okay.
I think you need to set what your expectations are, what that phone will be used for, and what's appropriate and what's not.
Okay. I mentioned, Lee, we got the kids going back to school. That'll be starting next week. So that means it'll be the return of the things that make parents worry. Whether or not their kids could be in danger at school. We've had a rash, as of mass shootings here in the last week. Not in school settings, obviously. The kids aren't in school, but we'll start to worry about that kind of stuff again. So what kind of talk should we have with our kids, just to make them more aware, just to make sure that they're prepared, to make sure we feel better without feeling like we're scaring our kids?
Well, my advice is to ask your kids how they feel about going back to school and let them talk, let them tell you and listen. Because part of, counseling and coaching is processing information. So let them talk about how they feel and let them know it is okay to know how you feel. I saw on the news the other morning a bulletproof backpack, and I thought, wow, if I had a kid in school, would I buy one? So I think that the level of uncertainty is very high. And as a parent, by opening that door and saying it is okay to feel a little bit afraid, And it is okay to feel a little anxious. And if you were in a situation, what would you do? Because there's a fine line, between using your observation powers and to being paranoid.
We're talking to professional licensed counselor Lee Richardson here on AM 950 KPRC. Lee, bullying is always a big concern, and it feels like the harder we try to get a grip on it, the harder we try to prevent it from happening, the more it seems to be happening. It seems like a problem that grows of its own volition. So what's your best advice on the bullying thing?
Well, I think, that creating awareness that it's not okay to bully, and that because when a bully incident happens, it's not just two people. And that's where the video comes in, and they put it online, and, 500 of your best friends get to see it. So I think that saying it's not okay, and if you see this going on, you have a responsibility to your community, and your community is your school, to report it and make them feel okay about that instead of being afraid, well, if I report it, I'm going to be the next one.
It's fun. I don't know if you've probably seen a couple of these stories of parents who've gotten frustrated because they say they did report it to the school. School did either ignored it or didn't get the job done. The bullying continued. And there was a video that surfaced at the end of this last school year of a parent, I can't remember where it's from now, where a parent actually went into the classroom and confronted the kids in the class and went off on them and told them they basically better leave her daughter alone, gave the class a lecture right there in front of the teacher. Of course, she got in trouble for it and got banned from the school. But I think parents get frustrated sometimes because they do go to the school and ask them to do something about it, and it doesn't always get done.
I think you're right. And I think that, we need, what is lacking in a lot of the schools today is that sense of community. It's like, it's not my job. It's not my job. It's everybody's job to help make that school experience rewarding for everybody there.
Is there a right way to talk to school officials so you can be the squeaky wheel but not too squeaky?
Well, my advice is when I talk to them, I document. I'll follow up a conversation with an email because the written word speaks much louder than the verbal word.
In other words, you got a paper trail. If you don't get satisfaction with the school principal, then you maybe take it to the school superintendent and show them the paper trail afterwards if it's not getting done.
Well, accountability. Sometimes we all need a little accountability.
Very true. Very true. All right. Hey, Lee, good to talk to you. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Lee Richardson, professional licensed counselor.